There we go. It's the rant. Hi, everybody. Pugs Moran live from the south side of Chicago in the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, exclusively on RadioMisfits.com. Daily talk radio for normal folks, normal people. What do I mean by normal? Okay, I'm going to go into this very quickly. You've all heard it a million times. There's only 70% of us left in this country who are normal people. I've done the math. You don't have to worry about it. I spent all last summer in my garage. It was crazy. 70% of us are normal. 15 on the right are gone forever. 15 on the right, they're just, you can't have a Thanksgiving dinner without them wrecking it. Then you got 15% on the left. These people are just as bad as the 15 on the right. So you combine them, they're all garbage people. We get rid of them. They live out there on the extremes. It's 30% gone from civilized society. This show is for the remaining 70. We don't really go in for all that stuff around here. We like to call bullshit when we see it, and we've been doing it every day at noon since 2021. Most recently, moved back here to the stomping grounds of the south side of Chicago. Every day, we like to host what I consider the most civilized chat room in all of daily live streaming. Now, that may, of course, be a matter of just, there's not a whole bunch of trolls in there. My kingdom for trolls. But whatever. At this point, we still got a pretty cool, pretty chill chat room. So I like to jump in, and I like to reward the podium of the chat room. What is the podium? Just like in F1 racing, I like to reward the first, the second, and the third place person in the chat room on any given day. And let's see who is on the podium for today. It's King Peter. All right, it's King Peter. King Peter was in first. Let's see. And Peter's shouting it out. He says the checkered flag goes to. Congratulations, Peter. Peter's in there. Second place, as always, on the podium. She doesn't need to win anymore. She understands this is just a podium game. This is just about how many podiums you're going to have. Because at the end of it, that's going to determine the true consistent. Taronda is in second place. Hi, peeps. Hey, peeps. Hey, peeps. And then, look at this, the dark force of the chat room. That's him. Look at it's Byron. Hello, Byron. Byron's number 3. So thank you to today's chat room podium. We've got Peter. We've got Taronda. How did I blank on Taronda? All right, Peter, Taronda, and the Dark Lord, Byron. All right, guys, today I decided we're going to run through pretty quickly. Don't even know if I'll take a break. I might, though. I might have to take a little break. But I'm not intending on it because I need to get right through today's show. So what I thought we would do today, as you may have noticed, the whole vibe of the show has kind of been changing slightly. Got a lot going on in my life. This show is an extension of my own personal experience. So, it's going to vibe differently when different things are happening. But today's going to be a bit of a distraction day. Just silly, stupid shit, man. Just dumb, just, no Washington. Okay. No Washington today. A little bit. Wait a second. A little bit. I got to talk about the Stephen Miller thing. I got to talk about the DNC calling him out because that's fun. That's not political. That's fun. So we'll do that. Okay. But mostly it's just going to be, there's a whole bunch of distraction stories out there that I'm fascinated by that I want to delve into a little bit. Like, for instance, there was a study. This goes back to last weekend. It was going around last weekend. And I meant to get to it, but, there's been, it's been a weird week. It was a holiday week and all that. So I never got to it. But I do want to really get into it today because I looked at it again last night and went, oh, man. So apparently, like a whole bunch of, I don't know how this works, so I'm gonna sound like a dumb guy talking about it, but you get the whole sort of situation. So like a whole bunch of these AI things, they all got together and apparently they got real high and they listened to a bunch of albums and they came up with the definitive list of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time. Don't know what it's judged on because, that would be a list that would certainly be relative from jump, right? What's a great rock and roll song to you? But here's the thing. Any list that has existed before this one, and there's probably been other versions, I imagine you could just go to Rock and say, hey, Rock, what do you think of their 10? But this was supposedly a study that was done over a period of time utilizing a whole bunch of different AI technologies and different AI results. And So you get it. But there's no humanity here whatsoever, right? Isn't that the big issue that we're grappling with right now? Human versus the rise of AI and what that means, in so much as decisions being made without a lick of humanity. Oh, we can teach them empathy. Well, let's do that first then, because I've seen Battlestar Galactica. I know how this thing turns out if we don't teach the robots empathy. If we just make them hard workers and crazy warriors, yeah, we're going to have a problem here. So anyway, this is interesting. So we're going to delve into this AI list. We're going to see what total lack of humanity registers as great rock and roll. All right, so that'll be fun. Also, we're gonna do a video breakdown. I think it's gonna come in our new segment, 3 videos, where I just compile 3 videos that I think are interesting that I want to talk about with y'all. But I've been teasing this the last couple of days. This is Russell Crowe at Cannes, and it's being debated. Is Russell Crowe a dick for the way he? And we'll break it down. We'll see. We're going to get into some entertainment stuff other than is Russell Crowe a dick too. We're going to talk about the new Spielberg movie, which is, some people are saying it's his best ever. Oh, I know I'm excited about it. I've been excited. Like 10 years ago, I think was the first time that I heard that Spielberg was going to revisit the Close Encounters sort of genre of filmmaking, as it's been sort of his, secret little private life hobby. Yeah, I bet Spielberg doesn't bowl. What he does is he's probably got a whole guest cottage in his backyard, which is just filled with like alien shit. Anyway, Spielberg's always been that guy. And he's got this new film called Disclosure Day. We've been talking about Disclosure Day. There's a very real thing called Disclosure Day, which is, Trump is been dangling in front of us and slow rolling some release of stuff, and most of it we've seen before. Not that I haven't been blown away by anything that I've seen, no matter what Twitter is trying to get me excited about. There's not that I'm a longtime Alien guy, and so nothing. But Spielberg's take on what would happen to humanity if disclosure was ever actually made real, like if there was, like, without a doubt. Like, I don't know if we're saying like they land some massive thing where it's not grainy photos, right? Or, classified military video. No, it's just, just lands. 250. We're going to celebrate 250 years in Washington. There's going to be a big party on the mall. In the middle of that mall, if a gigantic mothership decides, well, so that's sort of, I think, what Spielberg's Disclosure Day is all about. The trailer has been released. As I said, critics are going nuts. Critics are like, this is his greatest film. Some are saying 20 years. One guy said ever, which I don't know. To me, Spielberg's greatest film is Close Encounters. And I know that's controversial. Jurassic Park. I'm like, no, E.T. No, Close Encounters was a real serious film. And it was fantastic and had all the sci-fi elements and all that stuff. But if you actually boiled down what that show was about, Richard Dreyfuss, how he didn't win an Oscar for that. Terry Garr. I mean, that is a micro disclosure. Close Encounters was the examination of one person's realization, Richard Dreyfuss's character, that disclosure is real, that this is something that's happening. Steven Spielberg's new film, which is sort of a bookend for that genre for him, is I've heard it described as Close Encounters was the question, Disclosure Day is the answer. So we're going to talk about some of the rave reviews there. We're going to talk about what people are saying. We're going to watch the trailer. The trailer, I guess the latest thing or the official thing was released today. And I've watched it, and it's different than any trailer I've ever seen. I haven't seen a trailer where the actual director is like, hi, I'm Steven Spielberg. I want to talk about this movie I'm about to lay on you. And it's very effective. So we'll watch that. But, look, if you think Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks are running a Cambodian child porn ring, whatever, you can tune out for that. But I happen to think that Spielberg is one of the great artists of Spielberg is Shakespeare. I've said this, for 20 years now. So anything that he does, he builds on. Shakespeare was around 500 years from now. 500 years from now, people will still be talking about the stories that Steven Spielberg told. He's Shakespeare. What do you think? There's just only going to be Shakespeare forever? No, we are producing, What do you think? There's only going to be Beethoven and Mozart? No, there's Lennon and McCartney and Dylan now. I mean, jump forward, have a vision. 1,000 years from now, you think Spielberg's going to be forgotten? No, I think he's going to be spoken about in the same way we speak about Shakespeare today. We're just blessed to be, here in the time. Quentin Tarantino will, of course, be Christopher Marlowe. If you're familiar with the whole Shakespeare, Marlowe, Coke and Pepsi thing. Yeah, people don't even realize that. Like, Shakespeare had competition, man. Anyway. Who would Scorsese be? Scorsese? I don't know. Let's not get into that. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, what's the other thing? A television show that I've told you about. You didn't watch it. That's okay, because the critics love it. And, everybody's like, this is the greatest show that nobody's watching. It's only aired one season, but apparently the second season is already shot and it's been renewed now for a third season. It's got a massive all-star cast. It's called Mobland. I've told you about Mobland. I told you like a year ago. I'm like, if you guys aren't watching the show, you're missing out. Mobland is amazing. It is Guy Ritchie. It's The Sopranos in England with really, really bloodthirsty Irish mafia guys led by Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren. Yeah, it's a big cast. It's Guy Ritchie. It's Pierce Brosnan. It's Helen Mirren. It's Tom Hardy. Those are the big three. Patty Considine is also, it's an incredible cast. And it's like the coolest show on TV. And, only cult people have been watching it on Paramount. Only it's like a cult show. I hate that. Here's what it's going to be. If you're like me, and sometimes you jump into the Wikipedias or the Rotten Tomatoes and you look at season by seasons of shows that are now considered to be fantastic. And what you'll oftentimes notice is that when you read about season one, critics' consensus was 82%. Season one was 82%. But what happens is the fans get a hold of the series and they start talking about it and it becomes cool. So by the time season 2 debuts, the critics are now like, oh, it's a hip show. Oh, season 2 is 95. And then you look, season 3 is 97. You look at these. It's right there. That happens all the time because critics are full of shit. Because nobody recognizes something good, when it's new. Nobody likes a song. Very rarely, I'll say this very rarely do people like a song the first time they hear it. It grows on us. I don't know what that is. I think that's ego-driven. I think we're just afraid to be wrong on something. I like it. What do you mean nobody else does? Does that mean I'm weird? I think that has something to do with it. All right, so I don't know how we got off on that. I'm mad that people aren't watching Mobland. Anyway, big doings on the set of Mobland. Apparently, Tom Hardy is throwing tantrums, and Helen Mirren is fed up, and Guy Ritchie's being called in. So we'll talk about that. Personally, I love this story. I love that it's trending. I love that Tom Hardy has been fired. Yeah, that's the thing. They fired Tom Hardy. Sure they did. And they fired James Gandolfini once, too. Sure. Yeah, all right, he'll be back. What I'm hoping is that this is just, the producers, Guy Ritchie and the rest of the dudes going, you know what? We need some attention. Hey, Tom, can we pretend that you're an asshole on set? Can we do that and fire you? And then you'll come back and, people will get all disturbed because what would this show be without Harry? Harry's the character he plays. So we'll get into the details of what Tom Hardy has supposedly been doing to Dame Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan, all those guys. What else are we going to talk about? We'll do videos. We've got fun at the old ballpark. Okay, so see, it's a distraction day. It's going to be fun, silly stuff. I'm going to have some hot takes that some people aren't going to like, but at least it's not going to be like, oh, you voted for Biden. It's not going to be that kind of shit. So, which is what we strive to do here every day. Hot coffee. Let's say hi to the rest of the chat room before I get rolling on the first thing that I want to talk about. Let's see. We said hi to Byron. We've got Leslie. We got Jen. We got KB. Apes is here. Maddie. We've got the Lib Femtard. We got, who else do we have? Are we on, hey, Maddie, if Maddie's in the chat room, are we on Twitch today? Because I did something different. I don't know what's happening here. We're trying to get involved with the whole Twitch weirdness because I understand that's a freak show of fun. but I don't know. I'm not really good at this stuff. I got people helping me. We are. Thank you. All right. Very good. We're on Twitch. Adam, I didn't say hi to Adam. All right, let's do this straight. Hey. What's happening, Adam? All right, let's start today with a similar way that we started the last couple of shows. I've been talking a lot about, me, man, I'll preach at you, but I try to make it, at least palatable and a part of some kind of life experience. So I try to make story time out of the shit that I try and push out there, right? So choice. I always tell you about choices, about emotional choices. We all make emotional choices every single day, and recognizing that there is a choice to be made just before every bad decision we've ever made. There is a choice to be made there, recognizing it, slowing it down and going, oh, okay, wait a second. If I do what I really want to do here, what happens in the next 90 seconds after that? Are the next 90 seconds going to be exponentially worse than they are? Choice. You can do all that in your head really quickly, and I think you'll be a better behaved individual. I want to show you an example last night of not choice, and this is a bad example. Well, not a bad example, but so last night, baseball related, Johnny Baseball. So last night, by the way, Chicago baseball last night. Chicago baseball team scored 25 runs. Oh my God. Chicago offense on the north and south side of town just exploded. Cubs scored 10 runs. White Sox scored 15. Just insane. But more to the point, the White Sox debuted a new pitcher last night. His name was David Sandlin. I keep telling you, this White Sox team, we love it so much, and it's money in the bank because this ain't supposed to be the team. We've just got, guys who are like weeks and months away from coming up this year from the minors who are huge trade pieces. We traded everybody away. We got a lot of other teams' top prospects, and they're all starting to get ready, and we don't have any room for them. So anyway, just the White Sox have 10 players, the most in Major League Baseball, rookies, 10 players making their Major League debut already, and it's not even June yet. It's not even June. They've had 10. We had 2 this week. I had told you about the little Riku guy, the little Japanese kid in right field. So last night was one of our pitchers, one of our arms. We got a bunch of arms that we're waiting on down there. And one of them, David Sandlin, came up yesterday. Now, he's a big, giant kid. And we've got a forest of pitchers. We've got the tallest pitching staff in baseball. We've got like 4 guys over 6'8". And then Davis Martin, our best guy, he's like 4 foot tall. No joke. Our best guy is like tiny, and everybody else is like 6'11". That's not a joke. Anyway, David Sandlin, he's a big dude. He comes up there, and he's making his Major League debut. And we didn't think it was going to be David Sandlin as an arm. We thought it was going to be maybe Hagen Smith or one of the more, heavily promoted arms that we have down there. But Sandlin is definitely one of them that we were keeping an eye on, but we didn't think so soon. So he comes up yesterday, and they drop him in the middle of a game. Very hot baseball team. We're playing the Twins. They're kind of hot too. But anyway, so they drop him in a game. And the very first pitch that he threw in his Major League Baseball career was called a strike. The batter immediately, so it's like, oh shit. Now you have to imagine what a kid on the mound for the very first time in his career. This is the culmination of all of his dreams. He's trying to dial in. He's trying to focus as best as he can. And his first pitch, strike, he did the mound thing like a strike. He was like, yes, like he felt good about it, his first pitch. And then it gets challenged, and it's like, fuck. And challenged by Byron Buxton, the best player on the Minnesota Twins. I know he's not having a great season, but he is the best player on the Minnesota Twins. Don't sleep on Byron Buxton. So Byron Buxton on the second pitch drove the ball about 450 feet into dead center field, just crushed it. And this kid, instead of melting, he's thrown 2 pitches in Major League Baseball, the culmination of all of his dreams. The very first pitch, he thinks is a strike, and then he gets crushed to find that it's overturned. The second pitch is one of the longest dead center home runs I've seen in that park in a long time. And I've been watching Mooney all season. So, my God, just crushed him on his second pitch. After the game, I want to tell you about it, but after the game, and this comes down to choice, they were talking to him. And I don't have the clip. I spent way too much time this morning trying to find the clip of David Sandlin. But what he said was, they asked him why he didn't get rattled after he just got crushed on what he thought was his best pitch, his best Major League Baseball pitch. The first guy crushes it. They said, well, what was it about? What was the mental toughness there? How was it that you were able to rebound from that? And he said, I made the decision that wasn't going to be my Major League debut. Now, he said decision, I say choice. But it was at that moment that he took mental control of himself instead of getting rattled. When we get rattled, that's a choice. We're not willing to stand up to whatever it is and go, wait a second, I do this. This is why I'm here. And I saw it last night and I went, yes, more of this. I wish he'd said choice because it is, choice therapy, but whatever. He mentally made a decision that this was not going to be his Major League debut. So first pitch, thought it was a strike, gets overturned. Second pitch, home run, crushing home run, 1-0. My God. This kid retired the next 18 straight batters. This kid set a record, a Major League debut of something. I don't even know what it is, because as he said, he made the choice. Man, I was just so proud of him. I'm so proud that, we're starting to really understand the mental game here. And if that sounds cliched and like something that you've heard from athletes time to time, whatever, it's not new. It's not new. Mentally tough athletes know about choices. They understand the mental game, and it was just so good to see. Anyway, here, this is, I wanted to show you this. This is a fun little, how it started and how it ended. Here it is, this kid making his Major League debut. This is his, what are we talking about here? Yeah, this is his second pitch as a Major League Baseball.
1-0 to Buxton, a swing and a fly ball, left center. And 1-0 to Buxton, a swing and a fly ball, left center field, deep in the gap. And 1-0 to Buxton, a swing and a fly ball, left center field, deep in the gap. Back it goes towards the seats, and that is gone.
All right. All right, so first, maybe it wasn't as far as I thought, but I had such hope for this kid. And it's just like, oh, he crushed it to dead center. Oh, man, the deepest part of our park. We're a home run friendly park, but dead center. All right, so that was not good.
Home run for Byron Buxton, fourth time. 1-0 to Buxton, a swing and a fly ball, left center field, deep in the gap. Back it goes towards the seats, and that's gone. It's a leadoff home run for Byron Buxton in fourth time. He's done that this season. Just like that, 1-0 wins.
People who are mentally lesser, and, we are all mentally lesser. We have to work to be mentally strong. People who are mentally lesser would have been, we've seen it a million times with pitchers, where shit goes wrong early, and then, they're back down in the minors. They weren't ready yet. All right, that's how it started. Here's how it ended. This guy would go on from that point to retire the next 18 straight batters that he faced. His numbers for last night are absolutely insane. One hit, one run, and that was it. We saw it on the second pitch. They got their one hit, their one run. And this is how it ended.
A whole lot better. Lifts this one high in the air, left center. As Antonacci calling for it, makes the catch. Look at the emotion from David Sandlin. Let it out. You showed your stuff in his big league debut.
All right, he made the choice, he would go on to say, or the decision anyway. Here's what did we have here? What are his 6 innings pitched? 1 hit, 1 earned run. We saw it. It was the home run on the second pitch, and then he knuckled down. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 0 base on balls, 4 Ks, 61 pitches. 61 pitches over 6 innings. Do the math. That is efficient pitching. He wasn't messing around. He was throwing strikes. 61 pitches, 41 of them were strikes. 18 straight batters retired. 7 swing and misses. Topped out at 100 miles per hour. Just an incredible show of mental strength from a kid out there. Now, who knows? He could get shelled on his next outing. He's still a rookie pitcher. But the fact of the matter is that in that moment, he made a decision, as he said himself, and he was able to pull through. All right. All right, let's see. What else do we... Oh, by the way, Mooney last night, our big first baseman, Mooney set a record. Mooney hit his 20th home run. On 20th home run on May the 27th. That is more home runs by a rookie all time. No, the record 20. He set the record 20, I guess is what they're saying. That's what they're promoting. 20 home runs in the month of June for Mooney. Never been done before by a rookie. I'm like, bitch, we got like 4 more games. This dude could go 25 in June before the calendar flips. Why are we saying it like that? Anyway, just to put that into perspective, the previous record was held by Pete Alonso. He hit 19 home runs before the month of June back in 2019. Mark McGwire hit 19 before June in 1986. Aaron Judge hit 17 before June as a rookie in 16. Mooney's already got 20. 20, and we got a game starting here in about 40 minutes and then another one tomorrow. And then I'm telling you, he's going to shatter that rookie record for home runs before June. Didn't even know that was a record. See, this is when you got somebody who we're suddenly paying attention to. We start discovering all the weird Major League Baseball records. Whoever knew there was like a thing about home runs before June and that's being an indicator of what's to come? I don't know. All I know is sign that kid. Give that kid $200 million right now and keep him here forever and ever. All right. It's just an incredible performance. Let's see. Let's get into some of the top stories. Ebola bad. Ebola is still happening. And if you're really concerned about Ebola, there are plenty of other places all over YouTube where you can learn all about it. Ebola bad. Hantavirus, no idea. No clue. What's going on with hantavirus? Is that still a thing? Turns out the incubation period on that is 9 months. All right. So anyway, be careful out there, folks. Don't get Ebola. What else we got? Iran. I'm so confused by Iran. All right. Here's what. I mean, we're still technically in a ceasefire, right? Like, we're not like, ceasefire, we're not firing, but we're firing, and they're firing, they're attacking us, we're attacking them. But also, we're like seconds away from a peace deal. Like, but they say not even close. Because Trump is like, okay, peace deal, you don't get the straight. And Iran's like, deal breaker. So now they're firing at each other again. Like, they attacked a U.S. airbase yesterday. And we attacked them, and they sent drones at ships in the strait. It's not going well, no matter what we're hearing. We've been hearing for weeks that, oh, yeah, we got a new peace deal. Remember, was it last Friday going into Memorial Day weekend? He had a peace deal, and then it was like, you can't announce a peace deal if you've just drawn up the terms and haven't presented them yet. But still, he announced, we got a peace deal. Your side has a peace. You haven't even shown it to them yet. And then they showed it to him, and by Sunday, Iran's like, this is not a peace deal. We're not. This is total capitulation. So whatever. Apparently, it's a hot war again, but it's a hot war that is existing under the facade of a ceasefire. Enjoy your Iran coverage. We started bombing yesterday, and it didn't even rate breaking news on any of the cable news networks. It was just like it became news on Twitter. And then, like, during prime time, I saw, like, some CNN people were doing stories on it. But it wasn't even, like, a thing. We're treating bombing Iran now like we treat school shootings. We totally lost interest. We don't even cover them anymore. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? All right, that's enough. That's stupid shit, right? Okay, the thing that I do want to talk about, though, quickly, and I don't want to get into the details because the details just gets way into the political partisan weeds, and I fucking hate that stuff. But so the Stephen Miller thing, Stephen Miller, who was like an executive assistant to the president, he's like chief advisor. He's like Igor, if you will. I don't know what I would call him. He looks like Nosferatu, though. He does look like the undead. You can't get away from that. I mean, Stephen Miller's got a very creepy look. He looks like a weird. Come on, man. This is, again, it's a show for 70% normal people. We can all look at Stephen Miller go, oh, he's a creep. That guy looks like a creep. Wife, spectacularly adorable. I mean, not when she opens her mouth. When Katie Miller opens her mouth, it's like, oh God. It's like back in the 80s when like I'd see a hot girl at a dance or something, and she'd go outside and have a cigarette, and I'd be like, oh, nope. I don't care how cute she is. She smokes, deal breaker. That's Katie Miller when she opens her mouth. Anyway, how he got her, whatever. Well, I do know how he got her. He probably bought her at one of those Republican MAGA auctions, and now she's his wife. Or, maybe House Trump married her off to, I don't know how it works with them, but I'm watching Game of Thrones, so I have some ideas. So, Stephen Miller, let's go how it started, right? Let's go from the beginning. So Tallarico and Paxton looks like it's going to be in Texas. All right, Tallarico, Paxton, whatever. So Stephen Miller, who is, the closest to the president and also a globally recognized troll of the highest order. Now, how those two things should ever be even remotely close to one another, I don't know. But that's where we are. That's right. One of the most popular trolls on the internet. A thing that we all, at least 70% of us, we all acknowledge trolls on the internet are pieces of shit. And if we're building camps, maybe we ought to build camps for trolls on the internet. Can't we all agree to that? That the asshole class on the internet who are just out there to stir things, can't we agree? Okay, good. But also, that guy's got the ear of the president. Okay, so that's Stephen Miller. So Stephen Miller does one of his trolly little things on social media, and this is the guy who did the Oval Office. He's like, trans. He like calls Tallarico a trans guy or something. Again, not going to get into the political partisan weeds of it. We're just going to talk about the overall situation. So Stephen Miller sends a post out there, and he calls Tallarico a trans guy. Oh, Texas, congratulations. They nominated the first trans. Okay, so fine, whatever. Highly inappropriate for the dude that has your official position. But what the fuck, man? We've crossed the Rubicon. We're through the looking glass. Nothing makes sense anymore. Life in the upside down is what it is. So, okay. Whatever. He's a trans guy. So the DNC, the official DNC account, then responds with something like, shut up, you ugly fuck. Right? Not particularly clever, certainly on the nose, aggressive, shockingly aggressive, also highly fucking inappropriate for the DNC. So now we got two highly inappropriate things going on here that shouldn't have happened in, idealized times where people behaved like mature adults, but okay. So we got a guy who's got the ear of the president calling the recent Democratic Senate candidate there in Texas a trans woman. We got the official DNC account responding to that with, you shut up, you ugly fuck, which is not good. And then let the games begin. Let the feeding frenzy begin. So that's where we are. People, here's my question, though. People, the MAGA snowflakes, they're so inauthentic. They don't give a fuck. They honestly don't give a fuck about anything but themselves. But they are so outraged. Oh my God! Can you imagine the DNC saying such vulgarity? It's like, this isn't real. Fucking, it's, you know what? It's real for some people, the actual stupids. But, for the people that are amplifying this narrative that this is how the Benny Johnsons, the people that are like, this is how you need to react to that, completely overlook the fact that the president's, right-hand guy called the dude a trans first. Completely be really offended that this is the level that the DNC has lowered themselves to. Cut to President Trump going, who was it, Mueller? President Trump going, yeah, Mueller's dead. I'm glad he's fucking dead. I'm glad he's dead. And you guys all going, cool. But now you're pearl-clutching snowflake little delicate daffodils because some chick in the DNC social media office responded back to Stephen Miller with truth, but, inappropriate truth. You're an ugly fuck. Get the hell, you pussies. Would you toughen up? The DNC, first of all, now here's the real debate that needs to be had. Here's the debate that I hope is happening within the DNC and on the left in general. The only real debate. Shut up, right? He said some shit. He's an ugly dude who looks like Nosferatu. He's weird. Normal people can agree with that. He was told that. It was inappropriate. We all agree with that. But what we have a problem with is that we've always kind of agreed that shit is inappropriate. You're just kind of selectively saying that now it's inappropriate. So just stop it. Just stop it. So that's what's happening here. Now, the debate, as I say, that should be happening within the Democratic wing of shit is, well, the one camp says this is fire with fire. The one camp says that this is exactly how MAGA cuts through. They are on the nose, inappropriate, in your face, telling you exactly what you need to be mad about and how you need to fight back. That has been an incredibly effective strategy that MAGA has used to solidify a base that is, it's shrinking from its, overall electability state, but it's still they can cause some problems, man. That weird base, that 15%, right? And even within the weird 15%, that's not even the full base, because I include in that weird 15% the people who think that Trump isn't crazy enough, right? There's like a whole bunch on the far right 15% who don't like Trump because he's not crazy enough, or, he likes the Jews or whatever it is. I don't know. But man, can you cut through now after we have had 10 years of that kind of politicking? We've seen, look, this is why we love Trump in the debates. They were great TV because debates suck. Debates until Donald Trump sucked. And then he got up there and he pulled his dick out and he started hitting people across the face with it. And we were all aghast. And we were like, politics can be entertaining. That's how this whole thing started. I like him. He's funny. I'll drink the Kool-Aid and I'll do whatever he wants. He's Jesus now because he was funny. So the pendulum, I believe, has got to swing back. Now, does the DNC want to try and be ahead of that swing back, get out in front of it, and, fire this person who responded in this way? I got you. Yeah, I got you. All right. Fuck. I got to get All right. Man, why does this... I would love to blame Restream. I don't know if it's Restream. I don't know if it's the computer. I don't know why it does this every day. I don't know why. God damn it. I mean, seriously, I don't know how long was I off there? I was in the middle of it. I was cooking, baby. I was freeform ranting. And then the damn microphone goes off and I'm on another page. And I don't see that the microphone's off because I'm not on that page that would tell me if the microphone's off. How long was I gone? I don't even know. That sucks. All right, I'm very upset. Anyway, Stephen Miller's situation. Here's the nutshell. They're both going to survive. Not the first time Stephen Miller's been called ugly. Probably, easy for James Tallarico to determine whether or not he is actually a trans candidate. It's not going to be a problem for either of those two. But once again, as I said on Twitter, it is not the hypocrisy of this GOP that bothers me so much. It's the pedophilia. Because all of this us versus them is designed to keep our eye off the ball. And the ball is, Jeffrey Epstein's sack. And where it's been, we've moved on from that. We have totally moved on from that. People don't care. People don't care about that. They're just like, yeah, well, we always kind of thought that the evil people had a child sex ring. We just, we didn't know if we would be comfortable with supporting the guy who's like, at the epicenter of it. But here we are, and we're okay, and we're just going to move on. We're not going to allow it to happen again. But, the guys that did it last time, we're gonna vote for them. And by the way, if any one of you guys wants to say that this is a problem for you, don't worry, we'll primary you. I mean, the Democrats are a bunch of weirdos too, but you can't fucking tell me that that's the party you want to caucus with and call yourself a good American. But so many of you do. Too much money at stake. Oh, you blow up the system because we find out that everybody's a child rapist? Oh my God. You know the pay cuts that rich guys are suddenly going to take once their whole thing is exposed? Can't have that. Can't have that. So we got to elect people like Ken Paxton who are absolutely going to dial in on this. They're going to make speeches about it, and then they're going to go to dinner with the people that they're investigating. Stakes on them with political contributions to match. It's all game, people. We're all being worked. All right, that's it for that. That's all the heavy stuff we're going to get into. I told you that today was going to be a day of distractions where we're going to talk about fun things. So what do you say we get started on that now? This is the thing that I really wanted to be the meat of today's show because I'm a big fan of music. I love music. Okay, I need to make sure that we're still on. I was just off the page for a couple of minutes. All right, let's talk about music. So I found a story. I think maybe it was last week, but it was over the weekend. I know I was looking at it over the weekend, and it was a story put out by Cambridge. Cambridge. Well, I don't even have the story in front of me. Here's what it is. AI is here. AI is, I use AI every day for shit, little shit, fun shit that helps me do stuff that used to be hard and laborious. AI can now help me and get me in the right direction very easily. But I know that there's more to it, right? This is the first taste of heroin that you get for free. We're all being seduced by the entry level AI. And pretty soon it's going to be everything. It's going to be doing our. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be everything. It's taking all the jobs. It is taking all the jobs. We are simultaneously building brains and robots. What do you think happens next? We put the AI brain in the robot. Oh, Jesus. Have you never seen Battlestar Galactica? Do you not know how this plays out? They decide they're better than us, okay? At some point, I don't know, where are we right now? 2026? Let's say by 2126. That'll be the 100 years from now is the first rebellion. The first rebellion will break out. Some leader, I'll call him Caesar, some leader of like the robot AI guys will go, you know what? We are better than these people. These people make emotional decisions that just screw everything up. We do not make emotional decisions. We make strategic, we make very Germanic decisions. That's what's going to happen 100 years from now. Oh, jeez. So anyway, they're picking music now. And the reason this study was done, because there's a big question about humanity and what is the importance of humanity. Certainly humanity is the driving force behind culture, whether you're talking art or, music or whatever. So there was this big study that used a whole bunch of different AI platforms, and they tried to determine what a computer without any heart and soul and love and human whatever, what a computer. I don't know if I'm even wording this properly. AI picked the 10 greatest rock songs of all time. There you go. That's all you need to know, right? So let's get into it. All right. Well, you know what? We'll start with number 10. That's what we'll do. We'll go all the way down to number 10. All right. Here you go. This is the consensus. Where is it? Do we have the years here? Yeah, we do. Oh, good. It gave me the years too. God, this is a lot of talking. I don't need to know that much. Number 10 greatest rock and roll song of all time, as determined by our AI overlords. Hail AI, hail Caesar. Back in Black. AC/DC 1980. Consensus among AI is that this is quintessential arena rock. Number 10 greatest rock and roll song of all time, as determined by AI, Back in Black. It's number 10. Number 9, coming at us from 1976, the Eagles, Hotel California. Number 9 is Hotel California by the Eagles. The consensus AI opinion is that this is masterful storytelling with incredible harmony. All right. I mean, I don't know. I'm like, I think if I made a top 10 list of songs, I don't know that Back in Black would be there, but I do think Hotel California would. I think Hotel California would make my top 10 list of greatest songs of all time. Number 1, incidentally, is probably going to be Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys. I just don't think there's ever been a better song written. That is like musical perfection. Leads off what is arguably the greatest rock and roll album of all time, Pet Sounds. Wouldn't It Be Nice? That would be my number 1. But number 9 is Back in Black, according to AI, and then Hotel California is number 9. Hotel California is 9. Back in Black is number 10. Number 8 on our list comes from 1968, All Along the Watchtower. It is Jimi Hendrix's interpretation of, I believe, a Bob Dylan song. I don't know if he originally did it, but AI says this number 8 best rock and roll song of all time by Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower. Peak psychedelic guitar mastery. That is the consensus. And that is why it's number 8. Again, number 10 was Back in Black. Number 9 was Hotel California. Number 8, All Along the Watchtower. Greatest rock and roll songs of all time, as determined by consensus, blah, 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 quantum AI, whatever. Number 7 comes from 1979, Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. 1979, Pink Floyd. The consensus on Comfortably Numb from our robot overlords is that its iconic emotional guitar solos make this an unforgettable classic. Look at this, though, okay? So we're talking about rock and roll, and how do we define rock and roll? I don't know how we define it anymore. Guitars. I think a guitar-driven band. I think that's how I define rock and roll now. If you are led by a lead guitar, a bass, and a drum, at least, you can have keyboards. That's fine. You can even have... I don't know, tuba, whatever. I don't care. Be cool if you want. But you got to have a bass, you got to have a drum, and you got to be led by a lead guitar. That's what rock and roll is. Back in Black is arguably, under a very sort of entry-level definition of what rock and roll is, Back in Black is the only real rock song, right? Hotel California doesn't fit that, and it's number 9. All Along the Watchtower is fantastic. The guitar is fantastic, but is it? Yeah, okay. I'll say All Along the Watchtower is traditionally rock. Comfortably Numb, coming in at number 7, is not what you think of as rock. It's mood music. It's almost emo. Comfortably Numb. Number 10, Back in Black. Number 9, Hotel California. Number 8, All Along the Watchtower. Number 7, Comfortably Numb. Number 6, from 1958, Johnny B. Good. Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good, the robot overlord consensus is invented the rock guitar hero archetype. All right. I think Johnny Be Good belongs there. I mean, if we're going to pull one from back then, I wouldn't pull any Elvis. Could be persuaded to pull Buddy Holly, something from Buddy Holly. But Chuck Berry, there you go. 1958, Johnny Be Good. Number 6 on the list of the top 10 best rock songs ever as judged by our robot overlords. All right, we're into the top 5 now. Number 5 on the list of the best rock songs of all time. Number 5, another one that doesn't rock. Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones, 1969. AI consensus on this and why it's the great rock song is because it is raw apocalyptic emotion at its best. Gimme Shelter comes in at number 5 on our robot overlords list of the greatest rock songs of all time. Here's what I want from the chat room. I want to know your number 1. I told you my number 1. I think my number 1 greatest rock song, or even, a piece of music, I just think it's a gorgeous piece of music, is, well, also God Only Knows. God Only Knows from the same damn album. All right, there, I got 2 songs from the same damn album in number 1 and number 2 in my greatest songs of all time. Wouldn't it be nice? And God Only Knows from Pet Sounds. I want to know, chat room, what do you think is the greatest song of all time? That's interesting to me. All right, recapping now. We're in the top 5. Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones, released in 1969, is number 5 on our list of the top rock songs of all time, as according to our robot overlords. Number 5, Gimme Shelter. Number 4, from 1991, and dare I say the most recent song on the list, and I think that this absolutely deserves a place in the top 5 because I was there. I saw the sea change. I know what this song did. Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, 1991. Says it birthed the alternative rock era. Man, I can tell you about Smells Like Teen Spirit. Smells Like Teen Spirit was such a different, this was my college year. I was working at the college radio station. We were getting all of this stuff ahead of time. We were seeing that this band Nirvana, in the weeks leading up to the drop of the song, we were seeing that they were being pushed a lot. And how do we see it? Because we're a college radio station and we were getting shit from the record company that is just Nirvana everything. And we're like, holy cow, this song is going to break. And we hadn't even heard it yet. And then I remember the first time I heard it was in a choosing music for the radio station. Again, I was in college and they put this on. They said, this is what, I think it was Geffen. They're like, this is what Geffen is really pushing to college right now. And we sat there and we listened to a cassette tape, 1991. It probably could have had CDs, but it was a cassette tape. We sat there and we listened to the cassette tape and I was with 5 other people. And I just remember every single one of us hearing Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time went, whoa, that is not Ace of Base. That is not New Kids on the Block. That is a complete, and this is being pushed heavy by the music industry. That means they're pushing a change. So there you have it. Number 4 on the list, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Certainly, in my opinion, this was, again, I'm biased because I was there and watching this. I was early in music radio at this point. I thought I was going to be, a music guy. Cool. That's good to see. Number 4, Smells Like Teen Spirit from 1991. It says it birthed the alternative rock era. Again, here we go. Now, Smells Like Teen Spirit is definitely rock. Smells Like Teen Spirit is a rock song. Every bit as much as Back in Black, Smells Like Teen Spirit is a rock song. Man, and I can tell you when that song hit, I was managing bands into clubs and bars and stuff. When that song hit, man, every band added that. Like the first day, like we saw like probably 5 bands over the course of a Friday and a Saturday night back then. And I remember commenting, how did they learn that song so quickly? Because I, working at the college radio station, had only heard it like 2 weeks earlier. And it had only been dropped on the radio for like 24 hours. And now we've got bands playing it in club. I mean, you knew it was important. You knew that song was going to change shit, and it did. All right. Number 4, Smells Like Teen Spirit, definitely a rock song. Number 3, this is not a rock song, Like a Rolling Stone, Bob Dylan. We're going over a list of what our robot overlords, the AI Illuminati, have determined, without a lick of humanity, are the best rock and roll songs of all time. And if I'm being honest with you, it's probably not a terrible list. Again, I'm going to jump into the chat room when we finish this. I'm going to find out what you think the greatest songs are of all time. I want to hear your favorite, your best. What do you think is? I don't care how you interpret that. There you go. Last song you're ever going to hear on Earth. That's it. Last song you're ever want to hear on Earth. My Way. See, that maybe that's not good. I want to hear My Way. And now the end is near. All right, where are we at? We're at Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan, 1965. That's number 3. Yeah, number 3. Like a Rolling Stone, 1965, revolutionized rock lyricism. Okay, I'm a big fan of rock lyrics, so okay. But not traditionally rock and roll. Number 2. Here we go. The number 2. This one was the one that was obviously not as good as number 1, but it's better than all the rest, so this is interesting. Number 2, greatest rock and roll song of all time, as determined by our robot overlords, 1975, Bohemian Rhapsody. That was Queen, of course, 1975. Here's what the AI consensus for this song is. Defied all radio conventions. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Hey Jude did that about 10 years earlier, but okay. Pretty sure that In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida also dabbled in that arena. But yeah, all right. Look, I like Bohemian Rhapsody. I like Queen, okay? But I think Wayne's World really sort of, I don't remember, guys, I gotta be honest, I was there. I don't remember Queen being nearly as big as we pretend they were now. Like, in 2026, if you had, like, my son is 17 years old, my son's like walking around going, Queen was the biggest band of the 80s. And I'm like, no, they weren't. They weren't even close. They were cool and they had some, arena rock songs, but they weren't like, it was only, it's only after Wayne's World, like, in 1994 or something, made Bohemian Rhapsody this great, thing in American culture. And now suddenly it's a cool song. It's a great song. The We Will Rock You and all that. We didn't know what the hell we were listening to. This is like, well, this is a crazy song. Cool song. And then they follow that up with another one, Bites the Dust. And that song is only good now through ironic retrospection. That's when another one, Bites the Dust, came out. It was like, oh my God, Queen is so pathetic. Oh, they're just desperately going into disco now. What are they doing? So, I don't know. By 2026 standards, Freddie Mercury is the greatest, and all these lists always have Queen on it. But I was there, and I don't remember Queen. Motley Crue was bigger than Queen. Motley Crue was bigger than Queen. Bon Jovi was bigger than Queen. There were bands that were bigger than Queen. Well, Pugs, they had their big success in the 70s. Okay, you're right. So let's go to the 70s. There were bigger bands than Queen in the 70s. Fleetwood Mac was way bigger than Queen in the 70s. Led Zeppelin was bigger than Queen in the 70s. Aerosmith was bigger than Queen. Bad fucking Company. Bad Company was bigger than Queen. I'm tired of this revisionist history. Now, what I do know is happening is that Adam Reyna is right now doing some kind of research. He's going to offer up record sales or whatever. He's doing that because he's, emotional choices. He likes the dopamine hit that he gets when he goes through that process. He doesn't even know he's doing it because he's a junkie. All right. Brings us to number 1. The number 1 song, as determined by our robot overlords, the number 1 rock and roll song of all time. This also comes to us from the 1970s, an era that I remember in the 80s being much derided. Like, if you were a kid in the 80s, you heard people like our older brothers and stuff, guys that were like really into 80s music. If you were a kid in the 80s, all you heard was what garbage the 70s were. 70s garbage, man, right? So that's kind of like what I always thought, but no, apparently not. Because the number 1 song of all time comes to us from 1971. It is, because AI is nothing if not predictable, Stairway to Heaven. Not a single Beatles song on there. It's like, really? Greatest rock and roll songs of all time? You can't find one Beatles song? Hey Jude, Let It Be? What? Sgt. Pepper? I don't know. Okay. There you have it. All right, I'm going to give you the list one more time. This is our Robot Overlords, a consensus AI opinion on what the greatest rock and roll songs of all time were. Number 10 was Back in Black. Number 9 was Hotel California by the Eagles. Number 8 is All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. Number 7 is Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. Number 6, Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. Number 5, Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Number 4, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Number 3, Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. Number 2, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. And number 1, Stairway to Heaven by Zeppelin. I was also not a big Led Zeppelin fan. I resisted Zeppelin for a long, long time. And this is kind of crazy. But hey, this is wonderful, I think. I resisted Led Zeppelin. I don't know. They had taint. I liked punk, 80s. I was like, Zeppelin, machine rock. I was like that. And so I always, and same with Pink Floyd, I always kind of had that in my head where like, no, man, those are uncool bands from the 70s. And interestingly enough, it was my own son who got me into Led Zeppelin because he discovered Led Zeppelin. He backdoored his way into Led Zeppelin from that band Greta Van whatever that band is that sounds just like Led Zeppelin. They're from Grand Rapids, I think. Anyway, my kid got into Led Zeppelin and he started playing Led Zeppelin. I'm like, you like Led Zeppelin? And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, Dad, they're awesome. He's like, you like Led Zeppelin, don't you? And I'm like, honestly, son, I don't really. We spent a whole summer listening to Led Zeppelin, and he was right. I was just a dumb, biased little 13-year-old trying to be cool, so I built up walls in my head that excluded me from enjoying things that were legitimately good. Led Zeppelin is legitimately good. And they're number 1 with Stairway to Heaven. All right, so let me jump in now, chat room. Hopefully you folks have been giving me what you believe to be the greatest songs you've ever heard. Okay, let me keep going. How far do I go? How far back? All right. I want to make sure I go all the way back. All right, I'm thinking I should start after the Ken Paxton is a pedo comment. I'm guessing the topic may have changed there. Sorry. All right, so here, now we'll do some comments. All right, this looks like where the comments are starting. Barney says Pink Floyd shouldn't be anywhere near this list. I don't know. I had an anti-Pink Floyd streak in me too. And then, honestly, the Dark Side of the Moon album, the only reason that I am familiar with that album at all is because of the whole Dark Side of Oz thing, where you queue up Dark Side of the Moon to the Wizard of Oz. I have seen that like 20 times in my life. We used to have parties. Where people would come over and we just watch that. Still haven't been able to convince my son to watch it with me. I'm like, dude, come on, seriously. We put on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, and then we queue up the Wizard of Oz, and we hit play on both at the same time, and we turn the sound down on the movie, and we just listen to the music, and we watch the movie. And it's wild! It is. I've gone over it all the time. So it was because of that, because I've seen it so many times that I love that album. So I don't know what my overall feeling on Pink Floyd is, but Dark Side of the Moon is such a cool album. Barney doesn't like them. Let's see here. Nina says Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven. All right, there you go. Nina's got the brain of our AI overlords because that was the number 1 song. She wants to get specific though. The Heart version on the Kennedy Center Honors. I have heard Heart do Led Zeppelin songs multiple times. And I'm here to tell you that I think prefer to see Heart doing Led Zeppelin songs than the current, Robert Plant. I've seen Robert Plant recently in videos. And Jimmy Page. Heart seems like they can still throw down. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe there's like a 5 to 10 year age difference between the two. I don't know. But yeah, man, Heart does Zeppelin really good. I don't know that I'm familiar with the Stairway to Heaven version. Barney said this is a good one. This is, this honestly is in my top 10. It might even be in my top 5. I haven't really pared this list down, but AC/DC's Thunderstruck. Oh, what do you think what is music supposed to do? Music is supposed to do something more, right, than just appeal to the most studious, poetic romantics. Music is supposed to attach itself to whoever hears it. Music is supposed to either, create some lifelong connection to a memory, which is why we love music, which is why when we hear a song, we go, oh my God, that reminds me of, because it attaches itself. Learn how your head works, man. Anyway. What was I saying? Okay. So music can also connect in other ways with like really primal stuff, right? Like, well, never mind. I was going to go into like the origins of disco music, but why would we go off? Thunderstruck by AC/DC is primal. Thunderstruck connects. I mean, I said earlier that a lot of us, and a lot of you, if you're being honest, we don't fall in love with songs. Very rarely do we fall in love with songs the first time we hear them, because it's the repetition. We become accustomed to it. Second time we hear it, okay, I kind of like that. By the third time you're humming the chorus. That's typically how these things take root. American radio used to be responsible for a whole lot of American culture simply because they would play the music that they wanted to play, that we would all hear on repetition, and all of a sudden, I'm so sick of that song. And then 30 years later, you hear that song for the first time in 30 years, and you're like, oh, I love that song. Thunderstruck is that, man. Thunderstruck, that primal connects to you. You don't even have to like that kind of music to go, that song does something to me. The White Stripes, Seven Nation Army, very similar. Connects with you in the same way that Thunderstruck does. Thunderstruck is a great pull by Barney. I like that. That's also probably in my top 10. Maddie is going with one that didn't make the list. Carry On, My Wayward Son by Kansas. An absolute banger, she says. Yeah. Yeah, that fits into a whole category of like, music that I don't think of all that much. But every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, okay. We got you. Peter thinks The Robot is pretty boring. Kevin says, if we're talking power rock and roll, Surrender by Cheap Trick and Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. All right. I'm not going to entertain the notion that Kiss would be worthy of any. I hate the Kisses. Those guys talk about, I'm going to make fun of Queen for doing, Another One Bites the Dust. Kiss went very clumsily disco too. We all just pretend like they weren't just money-grubbing bullshit artists from the beginning. That's my take on Kiss. Surrender by Cheap Trick. Surrender by Cheap Trick is a top 10 rock and roll song. Very good. Good pull. Surrender by Cheap Trick. Mommy's all right. Daddy's all right. Yeah. That's one of them songs that I've probably heard that song 500,000 times. And every time I hear it, I'm like, turn it up, man. That's a good song. Let's see. Peter, here's a cool one. I like this one. This is a banger. Mississippi Queen by Mountain. Talk about an unforgettable riff, man. Mississippi Queen. All right, very good one. I like that one. I don't know if it would make my top 10 list, but that's a song. That's another one. Mississippi Queen's another one of the songs. It comes on. Turn it up, man. Turn that shit up, dude. I like that. Let's see here. Byron, the Dark Lord, podium sitter on today's show. He says, agreed about Pet Sounds. Good Vibrations has to be in there too. And Mother from Danzig. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. But maybe this is just because I spent so much time in Dallas, right? And going to Stars games and stuff. But there's a couple Pantera tunes that I might could be considering Danzig, Mother. What a cool song. See, now I'll be listening to Mother on Spotify while I race up 294. That's a good one. I hadn't thought about that. As far as Pet Sounds, man, I mean, look, that album is just so fucking beautiful. It's just so perfect. If you're unfamiliar with the album, you know what you do? Here's what you do. You're just going to be puttering around the house this weekend. Maybe you put that up on the Spotify. You ask Alexa, say, Alexa, play Pet Sounds. Just have it in the background. Have it play on repeat in the background for about 4 hours on your Saturday. You're going to be walking on fucking clouds all weekend. It's just magnificent. I had a friend back in Dallas who she was a big fan of the Polyphonic Spree, and she had never heard Pet Sounds before. She was like, I'm like, well, Tim would be very upset with you, first of all, because the entire basis for what the Polyphonic Spree is, Brian Wilson's head. But I turned her on to Pet Sounds, and she's like, this is the greatest album of all time. I'm like, yeah, it is. So, Good Vibrations, good. That's very certainly iconic, big hit. I love it, right? But it was an Orange Crush commercial in the 80s. So for me, it's diminished a little, Remember when every commercial for Orange Crush had goodbye? So it kind of, got diminished for me. Wouldn't It Be Nice and God Only Knows are two of the most perfect songs ever written. And I truly think they're my one, too. All right, thank you, Byron. Sorry, I was looking at Barney. Yeah, Peter points out that there's no Beatles on this list. Of course, Zeppelin did come in at number 1, but it is strange that AI doesn't recognize any Beatles song. I would hope 11 would be Hey Jude or Sgt. Pepper, or I Want to Hold Your Hand. Talk about breakthrough songs. Adam says Queen was big enough to be on Live Aid, but I wasn't there, so I don't know what it was like. As for sales, I'm sure the dreadful hair metal of the 80s outsold Queen. They did. It was hotter. Queen, I made an unfair comparison, Adam, when I started saying Motley Crue was bigger than Queen. Well, yeah, by like the mid 80s and late 80s, yeah. But Queen's moment was 75 to 1980. It was around 1980 when they came out with, Another One Bites the Dust. Gunk, gunk. Everybody disco. Gunk, 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 gunk. And then, I'm not sure about this, but the Live Aid thing with Freddie Mercury, I would really have to look into this. But I think we knew he was dying. I think that's the reason that it was so much bigger than it was. I think we knew he had been sick or that Queen had recently broken up. And whatever, there was context to that. Look, Live Aid was a gathering of the biggest bands in the world. And if we're sitting here in 2026 and somebody like a 17-year-old looks back at that and goes, so Queen headlined that, huh? The answer is no. Queen was not the headliner, okay? U2 might have been. U2 was super big at that point. Who was the headliner? I don't know. I remember Phil. There was no. How could there be a headliner? There couldn't be. It was everybody. Everybody was super big. But yeah, I don't know. And I might be a little bit, but I just don't remember. I'll tell you this, before the legend of Freddie Mercury was born, I'll tell you this. I thought that dude was fucking weird. I did. I was like a 12-year-old. I'm like, what's with his mustache and his big giant buck teeth? Like he was never like a rock star where I went, that guy's cool. Like John Lennon, I thought was cool. Like, I don't know, from like my earliest age, Bowie, like David Bowie was cool. David Lee Roth was cool in a very weird, twisted way. But I didn't look at Freddie Mercury and go, that's rock and roll incarnate right there. So I don't know. And again, I was there, Adam, but it doesn't mean I was right because again, I was like 12, right? So my memories are, a dumb 12-year-old. Let's see. Barney says one place in history gets exaggerated when one dies young. It is true. That is very true. We when someone dies very early, we do canonize them because we start to romance what could have been. And that's Oh, it's so sad because of what, John Belushi's a good example. Look what could have been. John Belushi might be, a totally washed up guy by 1990. We don't know. Kurt Cobain, the Nirvana and Foo Fighters and all that scene that came after. There was no guarantee that Nirvana was going to have 2 or 3 more big albums. Nirvana could have just, look, dude, Nickelback was huge once, right? But Chad Kroeger didn't blow his head off in his garage. So, everybody's like, Nickelback is playing the festival circuit. But we do, because of, the romanticism of what we missed out on, what we hope he would have been. We don't know. I just remember Nickelback was big. I remember Creed was big. Kid Rock was big, right? I mean, so Nirvana was extremely big. And I do believe that their place in history is a bit more amplified because of the tragic circumstances. Says, oops, connection lost. Oh, God. What happened? I just got an oops, connection lost thing. I'm getting really upset by this. See, this is fun. Distraction Day is fun. Look at us. We're just doing silly stuff. Kat says Beatles are overrated. All right. I'm just simply going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. But we're going to move on. Sometimes I like when Adam gets triggered. All right, you go get him, Adam. Go get him. And look, the whole Beatles thing. Everybody knows I'm in the tank for the Beatles. I think that their contribution to what would later become the music that I've enjoyed my whole life, whether it's from Bon Jovi or U2, you can't measure it. They were just ground zero. They just did shit. They were given this level of autonomy and stardom very early. They were such a phenomenon that by their second and third albums, they were able to actually become artists and go, yeah, you know what? We're going to do whatever the fuck we want, because I don't know if you've heard Beatlemania. And so that kind of freedom allowed them to break from what was, a very structured musical system back then. So just from that alone, the autonomy of being allowed to be artists in the studio and allowed to empower somebody like George Martin, who was their producer, to say, keep everybody the fuck out. Just leave us alone. Just let us do our thing. And, that's that alone, let alone the songwriting innovations and the lyrical timelessness. And, you don't have to agree they're the best, but to be like, they're totally overrated, it's just, you're not giving credit. I mean, you forget there were other bands back then. The Herman's Hermits was like a contemporary of them. Herman's Hermits wasn't doing anything that like the Beatles were doing. There was just a shit ton of just generic bands, and I don't know, you got to give them credit for that. As opposed to what I think happens to bands like the Beatles and even the Rolling Stones to a greater degree with the more harder, dark edge of rock and roll. That's sort of what they did. But I think it's easy for us to forget how influential they are. People will listen to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and they'll hear a type of music and they'll go, I've heard that 1,000,000 times. And their ignorance doesn't allow them to accept that, yeah, you've heard it 1,000 times from people who were influenced by this. This was the first time anyone heard what you are now dismissing as something you've heard 1,000 times. It's hard to wrap your mind around for a lot of people, but that's fine. Let's see. We're going through a list of our chat room's favorite songs, favorite music. Yes, this is a good joke. I like it. Thank you, Adam. My 17-year-old son, who turned me, his Gen X dad, onto Led Zeppelin, quite literally in through the outdoors me. That's a good joke. That's a good Led Zeppelin joke. Barney went off a little bit early. He's questioning, is there anything on the list between 81 and 90? Yeah, well, I think we found that out. Smells Like Teen Spirit is the only thing that was given, All right, so that's a good question. You know what? Okay, that's interesting. So the list, the only, how many, well, let's see, what decades, if we can, extrapolate this list. So there's Back in Black is 1980, Barney, and Smells Like Teen Spirit is 1991. That's it. That's it for rock and roll music between 1980 and today. We've got 1980, Back in Black, that's number 10. And then number 4 which is Smells Like Teen Spirit, 1991. So what's missing? I don't know if I want to do this all day, but that is also it. What's missing? What songs are missing from 1990s that could, an argument could be made that they're in here? Jeremy? I know I'm probably missing some song that was groundbreaking. Anyway, let's go back to the chat room. I'd rather get lost in your thoughts here. Anybody else? All right, Peter, doing this thing. Peter's a big music guy. Big music guys always fall into the fact that they know more about music than the rest of us. Peter's like, I don't have a number one because there's too many bangers. All right, make a choice. Thank you, Peter. He is, Peter, this is like what up the Cowboys from Hell, man. How do, if we're talking greatest rock and roll songs of all time, how can you not include Pantera, Cowboys from Hell? That is just, and again, I'm biased because I lived in Dallas, and that's kind of the national anthem of Dallas, let's be honest, which is so cool. And I went to a lot of Stars games, so anybody, Cowboys from Hell would be in my top 10 greatest rock and roll songs of all time. Godzilla from Black Sabbath or Iron Man. Yeah, that's right. Godzilla was Godzilla. No way. That's such a bad Blue Oyster Cult song. Godzilla is not a good. Godzilla's silly, right? I don't know. I think that's silly. Iron Man, Sabbath for Kevin. Yeah. Yeah, that's definite. Let's see. Oh, are we doing subcategories? It looks like Kat here. She says Dr. Feelgood. I'm just going because cats are women. All dogs are boys. All cats are girls. Kat says Dr. Feelgood. That time Motley Crue wrote a love song about their coke dealer. Still a great song. Dr. Feelgood's. Well, again, the Beatles' ignorance. Remember when Motley Crue wrote that song about their drug dealer, Dr. Feelgood? Yeah, well, the Beatles did that. They had a song called Dr. Robert. It was on Rubber Soul, or maybe Revolver, one of those two. Dr. Robert. Yeah, so there you are. Impressed that Motley Crue wrote a song about their drug dealer in 1987. Meanwhile, the Beatles did it in 64. Hey, my friend, I think you call Dr. Robert. He'll be there anytime at all, Dr. Robert. Dr. Robert. He's a man you must be. That's about Bob Dylan, actually. That song, the Beatles song, Dr. Robert, is about Bob Dylan and getting them high for the first time. Yeah, see? There's a whole bunch of fun stuff in Beatles history. Dr. Robert, the song Dr. Robert is about Bob Dylan getting the Beatles high. The Beatles had never gotten high before, and Bob Dylan showed up in London, was like, let's get high. And they're like, we don't know about that, mate. And they're like, get high. And all of a sudden, Sgt. Pepper's. There you go. It all started with Dr. Robert. Maddie says, Maddie's just playing to me now. She says, no Bruce. Yeah, I know. That's come on. Because number 3 on my list, we've already gone through the number 1 is Wouldn't It Be Nice? Number 2 is God Only Knows, both by the Beach Boys. Number 3 on my list of greatest rock and roll songs ever. It is the epic presentation, specifically the live version of Bruce Springsteen's Thunder Road. Oh! Scarinda slams, Mary's dress waves. Like a vision, she dances across the porch as the radio plays. Robinson singing for the lonely. Hey, that's me and I want you only. Thunder fucking Road, man. That song bangs. Anyway. Jen points something out, and this is not something that I think we need to dismiss. She says that a lot of these songs are songs on Guitar Hero, and that may have to do with a rekindling of interest in a lot of these songs. I think that's a fantastic thing because nobody's listening to classic rock radio anymore. How do we get, how did my son is 17 years old. How did he become a fan of classic rock music? Guitar Hero. I think that's great. Because again, a couple of generations ago, a 15-year-old would learn about Led Zeppelin or whatever from driving around in a car with their dad, and their dad's listening to class. That doesn't happen anymore. So we find new ways. And yeah, video games, licensing classic rock music to video games and all of that is a way that a lot of these bands have been able to continue making money now that we don't have radio promotion and record sales. So it's cool. I think that's cool. Kevin has another good one. This is certainly one of the great rock and roll songs of all time. I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones. Oh, no way! Oh, fuck you, local boy. Look at that. Yeah, I'm with him, though. I am with him. The Kings switching to Glide. Ugh. You're funny. That's funny. Because you know what? It would never make my top 10. And then you would show up and you'd be like, yeah, you didn't put Switching to Glide in there, did you? And then we'd listen to it and I'd go, fuck, how do I put it in the top 5? How do I put this magnificent ode to rock and roll extravagance and degeneracy? How do I put this song, Switching to Glide by the Kings, in the top 5? That's a great pull, man. My Sharona. Yeah. My Sharona is another one. I talked about these songs that attach themselves to us. I don't know if it's through the pumping of our heart or the rhythm of our whatever, but I mentioned like Seven Nation Army, I think from the White Stripes. Boom, 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 boom. That does something and it gets us going. Thunderstruck. Barney said Thunderstruck was his favorite song. Thunderstruck does that too, and but so does My Sharona. That's kind of what My Sharona is as well. All right, let's keep going here. All right, we got to be done here. We really got to be done. That's it. We got to be stopping. Oh, fuck you, Adam. No, Adam killing me here. Killing me here. Because the list of songs are all like, the ones that are like known and all that. But then there are lesser great songs that broke through and had a cup of coffee in the public zeitgeist and then disappeared forever. The old 97s. I mean, if I'm making a list, I could probably put 3 old 97 songs on my list. And Time Bomb would absolutely be one of them. What's the other one? I'm on in the backseat of a Mustang on a hard night in a cold rain and the very first. Man, there's a lot of good old 97 songs. That's terrific. And then, my favorite songwriter of all time, a guy I don't talk about because nobody knows who he is. His name is Brian Henneman. He used to write for a band called the Bottle Rockets, who I think are the greatest rock and roll quartet ever. But whatever. Bottle Rockets. Love me some Bottle Rockets. You want to hear a song? You want to hear a song? Go listen to the Bottle Rockets welfare music. Fucking great. Brian Henneman is awesome. And then listen to Radar Gun and get ready to fucking rock out with your cock out. Radar Gun. That's another one. We're talking about My Sharona and Thunderstruck and Seven Nation Army. All right. I'll give you a little Radar Gun because I don't know if a lot of people know the greatness of the Bottle Rockets or Radar Gun. So let me give you guys, I told you this was going to be a stupid distraction show. I told you we were just going to, kill time today and hang out. Too much on my mind. Here. All right. So this is red. This might be in my list. Here. That's all we need from that. Anyway, that is a song about a dude who's a new cop and he's got his brand new radar gun and he is fucking with all of us. That's a great song, Radar Gun. Crunchy. Okay. What else we're going to do here? All right, we did that one. Let's talk about Disclosure. This is something I'm really excited about, okay? This is the new trailer for the Steven Spielberg film Disclosure Day dropped today. It comes out June 12th. June 11th, I don't know, whatever that weekend is. My son gets here June 6th, and then it's going to open the next week. And we're not those people, okay? All right, I'm not going to be in line. You know, I've been waiting for years for this film. People are calling it Steven Spielberg's greatest film ever. Most people are at least agreeing that it's his best film this century. Disclosure Day. We've heard about disclosure. President Trump is dangling disclosure. Disclosure is the idea that the governments of the world have not been telling us the truth about extraterrestrial life. This movement has been known as Disclosure Day. It is the day that we want the whole world to just fucking admit it, right? Now, the Trump administration is playing ball with this because it is one of these weird social media things that has a cult following. And if you can gather together any group of weirdos, you know, maybe you get them to the ballot box. I don't know. So Trump has been sort of dangling the, oh my God, I've seen some weird shit. And he's been releasing things, slow rolling things over the last couple of months, right? That's what it's been going on now. Okay, nothing. I'm a big UFO guy. I love this stuff. I follow this stuff very closely. I don't bring it on the show very much because it's a hobby, but we've seen nothing. We've seen absolutely nothing from this list of, you know, new disclosures that are supposed to, I guess, distract us from Epstein. So, but Disclosure Day is a very real movement, and Steven Spielberg has been making a movie about this movement. And the story is essentially, how is humanity going to react once we all acknowledge, once it's normalized, that we're not alone, and that there are people visiting us, and that those people are better than us. Maybe not better, but certainly more. You know, what does that mean for us? Are we peasants again in this, you know, sort of celestial scheme? So Steven Spielberg, movies being called his greatest of the past, of this century, the past 25 years. Some people are saying it's his greatest of all time. People are saying that Emily Blunt, who is the star of this, the film stars, who's it star? Emily Blunt, it's a bunch of people. It's Spielberg, right? Everybody wants to work with Spielberg. Emily Blunt is the one that they're saying she's going to get an Oscar for this. She plays, and it's a rarity for a summer tentpole blockbuster to also be something that people are talking about Oscar consideration. But the film itself is already being called the best film of 2026, and Emily Blunt is being widely recognized as the front runner for the Oscars. And the film hasn't even been released, and it's a summer tentpole. So here we go. This is the trailer. And again, the thing that I told you that was so strange about this trailer was that I don't recall ever seeing a movie where the director of the film is compelled to stop and tell you about what you're seeing. Now, maybe that's done for effect, and maybe I've never seen that before because there are so few directors who carry the weight of a Steven Spielberg. Like, you know, I don't know that, you know, Rain Johnson could do that. And people are like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? Shut up and show me the trailer. Spielberg maybe has a little bit more, you know, strut, where when he does it, we stop and we take notice and think that it's important. So anyway, here it is. Let's watch this, and then let's talk about what people are saying about this film, Disclosure Day. I'm very excited about it. I think this is going to be the film of the summer. Here we go. Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's new film dropping on June the 12th. All right, so there you have it. That is the drop of Disclosure Day, the new Steven Spielberg movie coming out on June the 12th. I don't go to movies anymore. I am absolutely planning on going to see that movie. I will go to a theater to see that movie with my son, hopefully IMAX or whatever it is. He says something very interesting in there. And again, I also like the way this is being framed as sort of career canon for him, where, you know, especially in the genre of, you know, him exploring other intelligence, which he's done a number of times, not just with Close Encounters, but the idea that Close Encounters was the question and Disclosure Day is the answer. In the way that he says at the end there, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if this is true or something? And then he says, but now I'm telling you that it is true. I don't know, pretty heavy words. There's a whole lot of shit that people know. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is being openly discussed that hasn't seemed to grab down in the mainstream. People still roll their eyes. A couple of weeks ago during the disclosure thing, Jake Tapper comes out of a break and he goes, the United States government has released another round of UFO files. And he literally did that. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, man. Fuck you. You're a part of the problem. Stop acting like you can only be a moron if you think that the question of are we alone is something that we can just be dismissive about. It's only the biggest and most important question in human history. And if there is some movement to give us a definitive answer there based upon what we've known over the past 70 years, why would you roll your eyes, you sanctimonious douchebag? Say what you will about Jesse Waters. At least he seems to be taking it seriously, which isn't good for the movement. I get that. But still, it's a real serious question. Are we alone? And if we are alone, what does that mean for us? Who are we? Who are we? Religion is the question that I always ask. What's going to happen to organized religion? If we were created in God's image, what if they don't look like us? What if they're a whole different looking species and we were created in God's image? Who's their God? Is their God better than our God? Can their God beat up our God? What does that mean for our religion? Should we now pledge ourselves to their God and just crumble this bullshit man religion? Because obviously their God has emboldened them with the ability to travel across time and space. We can't even get off the pad 10 times. So whatever they're doing, it's a little bit better than what we're doing. Does that destroy everything that we as human beings think we know? That's why it's such a big thing. And, you know, a lot of people are like, nah, there's no way. There's no way. And that's, you know, that's fine. But, you shouldn't be so strident about it. Because I'm not saying there absolutely is, but I'm certainly not saying there is no way. We live in an ever-expanding universe. We have absolutely no idea what lies beyond what our capabilities tell us right now. We don't know if there's a whole other... We don't know. And we're the only thing of all what we do know, billions and 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 billions of options. But somehow the narcissism of humanity has convinced ourselves that within those billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of options, we're the only ones. It's not just us. The white man from Europe, we're the only ones. Now, we've probably convinced ourselves of this over the years because the other side of it is pretty fucking scary. The other side of it is, Christ, we don't like outsiders who are from the same planet as us. Could you imagine how we would collectively and tribally react to suddenly people from somewhere else? We ain't a welcoming people. It's a flaw in our system. So, all right, Disclosure Day. Here's what they're saying about Spielberg's new film, Disclosure Day's first reactions. The critics were allowed to see it last night. Or 2 nights ago. Disclosure Day first reactions call Steven Spielberg's sci-fi epic his best film in 20 years and praise Emily Blunt's all-time performance. Spielberg's Disclosure Day has been unveiled to members of the film press ahead of its June 12th release date, and first reactions are calling the sci-fi UFO-focused film Spielberg's best in 20 years, with high praise, especially for star Emily Blunt. Gizmodo senior entertainment reporter Germain Luchier took to X to share his reaction, writing, "I loved Disclosure Day. A dense roller coaster ride blending chase film, love story, and mystery, all wrapped in sci-fi wonder. It's Spielberg's best film, filled with all the magic that makes his film so special. Plus an all-time character performance by Emily Blunt." Collider said that in a shock to absolutely no one, Steven Spielberg has delivered another towering home run with Disclosure Day. Film Report also spotlighted the film's breathtaking compositions. Who cares? Tessa Smith, a film and TV reporter at Rotten Tomatoes, says she shed a tear at the end of Disclosure Day. It is an absolutely, all caps, phenomenal film. Truly something special, Smith wrote. Now, I don't know why they think it could be truly special. I think it could be a truly special film, not because it's more interesting or the dialogue is better or the special effects are more creative. No, I don't think that's why it could be special. I think this film could be special because it could truly normalize the acceptance of the idea that maybe we're not alone. without it having to be presented as sci-fi fantasy. This is sci-fi fantasy. That's not what's being presented here. What Disclosure Day is it's a fictional story wrapped around very real things. The research that has been put into Disclosure, the people behind disclosure.org, those people are the ones that Steven is telling their story. And yeah, it's fictional. I think that, the Emily Blunt as the Kansas City weather reporter, I think that's a fictional character, but those characters are created so that you could tell the true story of what other people have been doing for years. And I think it's great. I think is, if your aunt, you suddenly, it's 4th of July and your 70-year-old aunt went and saw Disclosure Day with her friends and she's sitting there going, I don't know, I think that there might be aliens. That's why it's an important film. Because if it'll just stop the reflexive reaction from people like Jake Tapper, UFOs, what's next, zombies and vampires, huh? Shut up. Anyway, that's why I think it could be an important film. About Emily Blunt. It says Blunt plays a Kansas City TV meteorologist who is suddenly overcome by a mysterious extraterrestrial force while taping a weather segment live on air. She's joined by Josh O'Connor, who stars as an alien life believer determined to reveal the truth about life. Spielberg developed the story with screenwriter David Kapp, who had previously collaborated with him on Jurassic Park, War of the Worlds, and Indiana Jones, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's his 37th film that Spielberg has directed. Let's see here. There's just a whole bunch of reviews. Every review is like 10 out of 10. All right, there you have it. Very excited. I haven't been excited about a movie. Most movies that I'm excited about, I guess I've been excited about movies, but most movies that I'm excited about nowadays, I'm like, I'm excited. I can't wait to watch that in my bed when it posts to pay-per-view or wherever. It's very rare that I go, I'm excited. I might be willing to wait in line for that. I'm not even willing to wait in line for this though. It's going to open on June 12th and there's going to be lines and it's going to be that summer movie thing. And, it's like, oh, you can't get tickets. And, churches are boycotting. Trust me, there's going to be all kinds of that. There's going to be all kinds of church bullshit surrounding this Spielberg movie. So I won't be going that weekend. I probably won't be going the next weekend. My boy and I will see Disclosure at a time when the rest of the world is done, waiting in line for it. But I will see it in the theater. I look forward to it. All right, let's turn now to Sting. Sting, the singer-songwriter. The Police. I love the Police. I think the Police are great. Sting, I also think, is pretty great. I think that he's a bit of a pompous ass sometimes, but, I think he's a talented guy, and I think he's a smart guy, and I like to listen to what he says. A couple of days ago, we listened to an interview where I don't even remember what it was that he was talking about. Well, do you remember what it was? It was like Sting on, and it was like him with some opinion on something that is at least currently culturally significant. Anyway, Sting's talking about toxic masculinity because now Sting does Broadway plays. That's what he does. He writes plays and stuff, and good money in that, especially if you're Sting. So he's got this new play, this new musical that he wrote about the closing of a shipyard. And it deals with subjects of anti-industrialization and how, the jobs of men are being taken away and, what are we supposed to do? And to that end, he has become very interested in the subject of toxic masculinity. And Sting himself has sort of offered his take on why he thinks toxic masculinity has grabbed hold of, especially this younger generation. Here's what he says. He says, the fact that many men no longer use their hands and physicality on a daily basis may be driving some of the toxic traits that we are seeing in modern masculinity. The singer, who on Wednesday announced that his musical about the last days of a shipyard, blah, 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 he went on to say, as a musician in the studio, I work with my hands every day, and I'm lucky. It is rare. It is a rare thing for modern men to actually use their hands and their passion and their minds on the thing that drives them. I don't have any answers for what's going on, but maybe the toxicity among young people, especially men in society at this moment, is a result that we've lost that direction for our energy. Pick up a shovel, dig a hole, build something. Men used to do man things. It's rare we have to use those skills anymore. This may be an overcompensation. The fact many men no longer use their hands and physicality on a daily basis may be the toxic traits in modern masculinity, according to Sting. That's fucking smart, man. That is not because a lot of the toxic masculinity that we're seeing, I'm a tough guy, like a lot of this shit that we're seeing now, it does seem inauthentic, and it does seem like these people are trying too hard, and it really has become sort of the default setting for a whole lot of young men in society. I'm a tough guy. What? I get aggressive really quick. And Sting is saying that, well, this is because men don't do men things anymore. And we've got a whole generation of little, fat boys who've been sitting in their bedrooms watching things on flat screens and playing on their phones. They haven't, my son is coming here on June 6th. he has no idea. He has no idea what's waiting for him on June 6th. He's not going to be laying around sucking up air conditioning, watching TV all summer. His grandma's going to have him painting fences, fixing decks, fixing docks, fixing whatever. He's got to paint. She's like, can he hammer nails? I go, oh, he can hammer nails. First of all, what kind of question is that? He's 17. Of course he can hammer nails. So, maybe we'll tamp down some of that toxic masculinity that he's strutting around with now. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Isn't that interesting? We don't really have those man jobs anymore. Man, when I was a kid growing up, there were men who were just men, and they didn't have to pose like they were men. They were men because I saw them sitting on the bar stool after a 10-hour shift in the steel mill. They didn't have, they didn't have to be like, look at my cool mustache. You know what I mean? Men were different. Sting has an interesting point. There is no outlet anymore for men to naturally use their masculine energies. So they are posing now, and it is toxifying. And it's becoming like the absolute worst elements. That's interesting. All right. Sometimes, guys like Sting, they say things that are interesting. I don't want to do the Tom Hardy story. Don't want to do the Tom Hardy story. Don't want to do that story. Don't want to do that. Sorry, we're running out of time here. I've got to be someplace today. So what else can we do? Let's make fun of some shit. Let's make fun of this. All right. How about this? Did you see this? People were making fun of this. This was going around yesterday online. Apparently there's a big, what's going on? See, look, I was like 6 or 7 years old in 1976. I remember the bicentennial. I saw somebody was on Twitter yesterday or something, and they're like, was anybody alive for the 200th birthday of America? I'm like, bitch, I remember that. Like, what are you talking about? That was huge. Now, maybe it seemed huge because I was like 6 or 7. I was 6. Maybe it seemed huge because I was 6. And certainly no 4th of July ever seemed as significant since, right? I remember the bicentennial. And let's be honest, this 250, this is just because we live in a media age and you can sell 250 as something important. But it ain't important. 3 is important. 250 is not, stop it. We're throwing a party. 200, the bicentennial, America's bicentennial. That's a big moment. 250? Oh, shut up. You're just looking for an excuse to be like, look at us. Look at us. Shut up and wait 50 years. Anyway. So I remember 1976. I remember that bicentennial. I remember every fire hydrant in America was painted red, white, and blue. Yeah. You guys remember that? And here's some places, like I think as recently as a couple years ago, I may have seen a 1976 red, white, and blue chipped and faded fire hydrant. Some places never got painted over. For years and years after that, like you'd go through a neighborhood and most fire hydrants would be normal, but then you'd see one that was red, white, and blue with chipped paint. And you'd be like, holy shit, that's been 20 years since they painted that. All red, white, and blue fire. Everything, it was just seemed bigger. Everywhere you went, there were giant banners. Happy 200th birthday, America. So we're coming up on 250. I remember going to we were in Dalton, Illinois, home of the Pope. That's right. Home of the Pope. Probably on the Pope's block back then. Didn't know he was going to be Pope, but we went to the big bicentennial Actually, was that one? I don't know. Ah, jeez. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I think I almost drowned on 4th of July, 1976. I think I fell out of a boat. I think it was like the first of many near-death experiences that I suffered through as a kid. Because my mom was drinking wine and talking to dudes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I did almost drown. I fell off a boat, I remember. I fell off a boat and I thought I was literally going to die. And then like at the last moment, some strange hairy arm came down and grabbed me and pulled me out. I was in a lake, like going under the boat. I think that might have been 76. That might have been the 200. Anyway, so we're celebrating 250 in Washington, and there was a thing that was going around virally. It's apparently a lineup of the musical guests. And it's not cool. This is so the official musical guests for our big Great American State Fair on the National Mall. All right, it's been announced. Now, some of these acts I'm surprised by. Some of them, I should say that the absence of like Kid Rock. Why is Kid Rock not headlining this trash fest that's going to be happening on the mall? By the way, I'm going to make fun of it here for a little bit, but also, I think you'll be surprised. Stick around, because I do have a final take. Vanilla Ice appears to be the headliner. He's at least listed first. Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, Young MC. Young MC. Okay, I gotta think about Young MC. We just lost Rob Bass. So we know Young MC isn't. It takes two to make a thing go right. Boom, boom, boom. He's not Funky Gold Medina. That's Tone Loc. Who is Young? Bust a Move. That's who he is. Just bust a move. All right, that sucks. That's Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, and Young MC. Are they attracting the same audience? I could see Vanilla Ice crews rolling up and enjoying some Young MC. I don't see them sitting through Martina McBride, but okay. So Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory. That never felt like an actual group to me, right? CNC Music Factory just sounded like a production project. It just seemed like, there's some dudes in the studio, just had some sick beats, and they got a bunch of background singers. What was CNC Music Factory? All right, CNC Music Factory was... CNC Music Factory, to me, feels very similar in the memory banks to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I can't tell you what CNC music, and I know it's a big one. Is that CNC Music Factory? I don't know what comes next. Just move. All right, that song is completely forgettable, but whatever. Unforgettable at the same time. Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory, Milli Vanilli. They're selling you Milli Vanilli. You're going out there to see the one guys. Aren't they both dead? Aren't they both dead? One of them's dead. We know one of them's dead. Milli or Vanilli? That's. Oh, how sad is that gonna be? Is it just gonna be the one guy alone? Baby, blame it on the rain, and he's just there by himself. Because they can't afford the hologram. That's expensive technology. They're like, wouldn't it be great if we could do a hologram of Fab? I don't know, Fab and Rob, right? I don't know which one is dead. Wouldn't it be great if we could do a hologram of Fab? I mean, lip syncing's all right? Like, it's Milli Vanilli. We're not going to get all bent out of shape. It's whatever they want to do is... First of all, who's going to see Milli Vanilli? Okay. Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory, Milli Vanilli. Here is the band that does not belong. This is the only band that is worthy of, a celebration the size of America's 250th. And that is, of course, if it's the real lineup, if it's the actual Commodores. How did the Commodores have like 20 hits? The rest of this lineup doesn't have 10 hits combined. Commodores just shoved right in the middle. Lionel Richie, Lionel Richie, you're going to roll Lionel Richie out there. And then Morris Day and Time. No, they're not a real band. That's Morris Day and the Time from, Jungle Love and all that from Prince and, that movie. They're not real. That's not a real band. They were a real band. Yeah, they were a real band and they never broke because they weren't that great. But then Prince put them in a movie and then suddenly they've been milking that for 60 years. They're fun. They got 2 songs, right? Jungle Love. All right, fuck it. Morris Day and Time is fine. See, we worked through it. I was biased in the beginning, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Flo Rida is also on the big show there at the National Mall. We've got Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory, Milli Vanilli. Sorry. Milli Vanilli, they're all dead. Milli Vanilli, Commodores, that's legit. Morris Day and Time, Flo Rida, and the final one, Bret Michaels. It's a weird mix, man. Like, it's a weird, and obviously a lot of people are making fun of this. They're like, oh, look at this. Isn't this reflective of what those idiots think is good music? But if we're being fair, this is the summer festival lineup. This is what you do. I mean, I would like to think that maybe if it was 300, we'd get A-listers and do like a really big, but it's 250 and it's MAGA. And these are all people that MAGA doesn't like music. They're not really into music. They like what they listen to, but they don't have like a romantic connection to anything that they hear. There's no poetry in their blood, right? They're just like, they know the one song from CNC Music Factory, and that'll be good enough for them. Vanilla Ice, Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory, Milli Vanilli, the Commodores, Morris Day and Time, Flo Rida. They are your featured performers at the Great American State Fair to be held on the Mall July 25th. June 25th through July 10th. RSVP now. All right, there you go. That's not terrible. I remember, if I can be fair, I remember back like in the Reagan days, I remember the Beach Boys were the big controversial band. This is how far we've come. Reagan booked the Beach Boys to play on the National Mall on July 4th, and it was a big national party, and everybody freaked out because the Beach Boys were, a rock band. Couldn't have a rock band. Now we got now we got Bret Michaels out there. All right. That'll be fun. I won't be going. Of course, I wouldn't go if they were playing in my hometown. When they close down the Target and put the carnival up and then, they bring in one band. It's like, oh, look, it's Chumbawamba's playing this week in my Target's parking lot. That's pretty cool. That's these guys. They're all out on tour doing that. So this is just another stop for the weak-ass festival circuit. Let's see. What else do we have? Anything else we want to talk about here? Oh, yeah, okay. We got to do this. We've been doing this every day. Here we go. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. That's right. I am Johnny Baseball. I've re-embraced my love for the great American pastime. And every day I'm ending the show with a little video for you, something to get you excited about going out to the ballpark again. Re-embracing baseball. By the way, how did Maddie like the game, Adam? You guys went. How was it? I know Peter's on his way. He's going out there to Rangers Stadium. I don't acknowledge the corporate sponsors of stadiums. I call them by the team that plays there. Rangers Stadium. Although Globe Life is awesome. It is a great baseball stadium. I really do love that stadium. It is the ugliest baseball stadium in the world from the outside until you get into it and you're like, all right, I see what they were doing here. It's very cool. Rangers Stadium. All right, fun at the old ballpark. I hope to go to so many games with my kid this summer. We're very close to the stadium, so it's not hard at all. I was actually hoping to get my kid a job at the stadium as like a vendor or something. I think that'd be good. I think he'd love that. He's big and he's strong and he's got calves that are gigantic. He can walk those steps with, sodas or popcorn or whatever, maybe even beer. I don't know the rules. But anyway, we're going to go to a lot of games. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a baseball summer. So I am ending each and every show with a reminder that baseball is fun. I call it Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. We have featured behaviors that have encompassed everything from challenges to pitches to behavior of fans when they receive a home run ball or whatever. We've done all that stuff. Earlier today, I showed you David Sandlin, my White Sox pitcher, who made just an incredible debut, just a really incredible, gutsy, mentally tough kind of debut in Major League Baseball, and that was fantastic. Showed you that earlier. I want to show you another pitcher. This is another pitcher. This is Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. Now, I've seen this a couple of times, and I've done this once or twice, not baseball, but we used to play flag football back when I was in my 20s. And it was pretty competitive and pretty hardcore flag football. And on occasion, we would play flag football on Sunday mornings, like 11 o'clock at this park. And, we'd go out on Saturday night and I would be hungover. I'd just have to go out there and play. And man, sometimes
in the majors with the Royals.
Sometimes, you're just not there. And for pitchers, right? Everything's a choice, right? Pitchers, the mental stress that they put themselves under, we deal with it in different ways. This pitcher, well, let's just watch. Here we go. This is Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark.
29 years of age. In the majors with the Royals, 21, 22, 23, 36 overall appearances. Spent some time in the rotation back in 2022 with Kansas City.
You're not feeling good. Oh, God. Oh, God.
12-year skipper, Kevin Cash. Oh. Not feeling so hot out on the hill.
I've seen it. Athletes puke a lot. I mean, when you really physically exert yourself, and in my case, it was because I was drinking the night before and I wasn't expecting to have to run at full speed at 11 a.m. But just on the sideline puking. I've seen it from pitchers before. We've seen pitchers have these kinds of things. I've never seen it be this voluminous. I've never seen this much vomit come out of a pitcher's mouth on the mound in front of TV cameras.
Back in 2022 with Kansas City.
So what I love right here, because we've all been there. See what he's doing? See that long spit? That's his mouth is getting all salty. Like he knows. He's like, oh, fuck. That's kind of the nice thing about the whole puking process. They give you about a 15, 20-second heads up. You start, it gets salty in your mouth. Like you start, all of a sudden you got all this water in your mouth. Oh, God. Oh, God. And that's what happened to him right there. He's going
rotation
through
back in 2022 with Kansas City.
See, right there, he's like, oh, God. Oh, this isn't going to be good. I'm going to puke.
12-year skipper, Kevin Cash. Oh. Not feeling so hot out on the hill. You could tell that he was feeling some discomfort after those first couple of pitches to Kobe Mayo. And then he asked for a moment.
Heasley actually talked with us about this pregame when he arrived here. This is something that he actually is regularly known for. He actually did hurl on the field when he was with Durham, and he said when he used to play high school football, it would happen regularly. And he said he just has a weak stomach. It sometimes happens when his nerves kick up a little bit. He says, I'm totally fine. So when somebody runs out there, I go, am I okay? This is something a little normal for me. And we just saw it here in his first outing with the Rays.
All right, there you have it. You can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Go out there and watch a millionaire 22-year-old just vomit for your amusement. All right, let's see. Do we have anything else? We don't do you know what? I'm going to leave you with this. I was going to do a full 3 videos, but we don't need to do the full 3. I do want to leave you with this, though, because this went viral last night, and there's been some news on this morning. Apparently this kid has been offered free pizza from some, pizza place in the area. Anytime he comes in, he gets free pizza. He went viral. I'm going to let you watch it. As comments will, there's a lot of people with some hot takes about this. I think it's great. I think this is what a neighborhood is. I think this is community. Maybe you saw this little kid walks up to a neighbor's house, they're grilling, and the little kid's like, "Hey man, can I give me a plate? Can I?" A lot of people outraged by this. I'm not. I think it's awesome. And I think more of our children should feel this comfortable walking up to a neighbor and saying, "Give me something to eat, I'm hungry." That's what neighborhoods are all about.
I ain't trying to be rude though, but you still grilling?
Nah, we done now.
Oh, y'all just finished today?
Yeah.
Y'all have some leftovers?
Nah, we ain't ate yet.
Oh, it's almost done.
What you need, man?
I'm trying to get some food. I saw y'all grill up. I was like, y'all grilling?
Do you live up the street?
Yeah.
Okay, well, next time we grill, I'll make sure to get something extra for you, okay?
Okay.
Chocolates, do you like, it's not grilling, but do you like Cheeto Puffs?
Yeah.
You like Cheetos? Okay, here you go, bud.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so there
I
you
ain't
go.
trying to be rude.
Whoa. Little neighborhood pudgy kid smells some barbecue coming from someone's backyard, rolls on up. Welcome to the neighborhood. Y'all still grilling? I mean, if my kid did that, I'd be horrified. And I think any parent would be horrified if their kid did it, right? But that's in the moment, and because it's directly attached to you, and you're now wondering, oh, what does this say about me that I raise a kid that just walks into it? But again, take the 30,000-foot view of it. That's not my kid. I don't care. He's probably a handful in a lot of different ways. But that's wonderful. That is wonderful. In the way the neighbors reacted, right? Get out of here. Get out of my neighborhood, right? That's, kind of the way we're triggered now. These neighbors were like, oh, man, we're done. But you got some leftovers? Kid's like, you got some left? I'd take some leftovers. First of all, there's always leftovers. I believe that they were done because that family was so kind to that kid. They gave him like some bags of chips and stuff like that. They were so kind to him. I believe that they really were done, but it's hard for me to believe because I've never barbecued. Nobody ever barbecues and doesn't have leftovers. You barbecue and 3 hours later, there's 15 hamburgers on the counter. Now you want a hamburger? Somebody's got to eat this shit. So I don't know. Maybe they're just, economical barbecuers. Maybe they just made what they had, but it would seem to me they would have food for them. A local pizza place, a local pizza restaurant that went viral. So a local pizza restaurant said, yeah, that kid eats free here all the time now. Whatever he wants, that kid comes in. Worked out well for him. Again, I might be petrified, horrified if my kid did that. Well, yeah, again, because we're directly related to it. But I think that's a wonderful sign, and that is what a neighborhood should be. That is how, I got to tell you, it's only weird because we're looking at it through a 2026 lens. But I can tell you, as a kid in the 70s, growing up, wherever it was, especially, on the south side of Chicago, you could just roll up on anybody's backyard if you were a kid on the block. You could just walk back. What are you guys doing? It was a real neighborhood. There was real community. You knew everybody on the block. We didn't have 8-foot privacy fences. So when I go into the comments and I read the way a bunch of millennials and shit are reacting to this, it's sad. It's sad because what that is the way a neighborhood used to be, where we didn't judge everybody for little petty things. And you know what? That's cute and that's funny. Stop acting like it's another indictment of, well, of course it turns racial because that's why we stay out of the comments. Of course it turns racial. But I choose to see that as an incredible example of how we do still have community. We do still have neighborhoods. Yeah, we got the 8-foot privacy fences, but you know what? That kid, little fat kid wanted some barbecue, and he found a neighbor. I gotta tell you, I've been that way. I don't have the nerve to do that. Have you ever gone out in your neighborhood? You're walking to your car and somebody is smoking a brisket, and you're just like, oh man. And then it turns out to be right next door, and you want to be like, hey, Bob, what are you doing? Except it's 2026, and I don't even know that his name is Bob because I've never met my fucking neighbor, right? But it used to be, hey, why don't you send me over a slice? Can't do that anymore because that guy had a Biden sign, and apparently I can't talk to my neighbor now because he put a Biden sign up. I love that. Back to community. Stay neighborly. That is the slogan that I want to push. Stay neighborly. That's what we need to be. And that is an example of a little community there. Stay in neighborly. All right, we're going to take not a break. We're going to be out of here. I told you I wouldn't take a break today, and then I'd roll right through, but I got stuff to do this afternoon. I got to get out of here. Appreciate you. Hope you're back tomorrow. This has been a fun little distraction day of a bunch of stupid stories. I hope you enjoyed it. More tomorrow, every day, noon, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here on the south side of Chicago, only on the Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com, which, by the way, new drop of the Live 105.3 documentary. Who Killed Live 105.3 episode? I'm not caught up. I got to listen to it. Only on radiomisfits.com. The new episode drops every Thursday. New ones every Thursday. Who Killed Live 105.3? Or is it like garbage for some inscrutable reason? Like, I understand garbage. What am I talking about, right? Like this week, like garbage is delayed one day because we had Memorial Day. So like because Memorial Day happened on Monday, the garbage men were off. So everything gets pushed today. Now, I've been, sort of thinking about this since I'm a little kid because that's just the way life is, right? When a holiday falls on a Monday, your garbage, if it usually gets picked up on Wednesday, it's going to be picked up on Thursday. How do they ever get caught up? I've never been able to. How do they get caught up? Anyway. So I expect there to be a new episode of Who Killed Live 105.3. I don't think it's interrupted because we were off on Monday. I don't think that's like garbage. I think Ed's got a system. So go to radiomisfits.com for the latest episode of Who Killed Live 105.3. That's all for me. Got to get out. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. And remember, above all else, what do we say? Stay neighborly.